So it's been some time since I've had or done a furious rant on the channel, and what I want to rant about is all of the comments about me being too hard on Jack in today's video, because that really rubs me the wrong way, because I think it's very wrong-headed. I think it's a wrong way of thinking, and I think I know it's not taking things into consideration that maybe one ought to. I'm going to tell you a story that really sums it up for me. So, and I don't know if this story is true or not. I heard it years and years ago, but it's always stuck with me. There's a guy that had committed terrible crimes, and he was sentenced to death. It was a capital crime, capital punishment, and he was on death row. And his time came up, and it was time for him to be executed by the state. And he was strapped to the gurney and awaiting his lethal injection. And his mother was there. And he asked for his final request that his mother come. There was something that he wanted to say to her. And she came into the room, and he said, "Mama, I want you to come down here. I want to say something to you." And she knelt down to listen to him, and he said, "Closer, closer, closer." She got so close that she was putting her ear right to his mouth. He leaned up and he bit her ear off. And what he said to her was, "You're responsible for this. It's you that has caused me to be here, to forfeit my life prematurely. It's you that coddled me, always never held me accountable for anything, always helped me to get out of scrapes, always took my side, never challenged me, never told me when I was doing something wrong." And that story really stuck with me, because we don't do our children any favors when we coddle them. We don't do our children any favors when we help them to get out of scrapes that they got themselves into. It creates a sense of entitlement, creates a sense of a lack of accountability. And contrary to popular belief and opinion, we're not our children's friends. And I don't mean that in a cruel way. There's nobody in this entire world that would have Jack's back more than Mrs. W and I. But we have a higher responsibility. More important than being our children's friends is producing a child that will be a benefit to society, that will be a benefit to his community, that will be a contributing member, hopefully be a great husband for some woman someday. And that is our primary job. And that job trumps our desires of being friends. Being parents is hard, but what's harder than that is what the world has waiting for us. The world is not going to coddle Jack. They're not going to hold his hand. It's not going to look after him. It's going to be tough. The world is cruel. The world is difficult, and the world it's a dangerous place. And when we send our children out unprepared, and we coddle them their entire lives, we're setting them up to fail. We're setting them up for disappointment, and it's not the loving thing to do. Also, keep in mind that the things that I share with you guys, and when you watch a 10, 12, 15-minute video, that's a very small percentage of what actually takes place during the day. I know that if you've watched a lot of the videos, or if you follow the channel for a long time, we all do this. You get the sense that you know everything about our family. You get the sense that you know exactly what's going on, and it's not. It's very, very limited. It's just a tiny snapshot of the day-to-day things that go on. When I tell Jack, when I'm hard on him about these things, and I maybe even escalate or raise my voice a little bit, what maybe you don't know is that he's making the same mistake that I've told him 100 times not to do. And that's just normal. I mean, that's what kids are going to do. But if someone won't listen, then you need to raise your voice. You need to heighten or highlight the error, to try to press upon them the importance, so that they don't repeat it. I mean, the perfect example is if you have a child that is wandering around in the yard and you see a truck coming down the road and you say, "Hey, Tommy, there's a truck coming in the road. I want you to step out of the road, come back closer to me." Well, Tommy's excited and maybe he doesn't hear you over the truck. Well, maybe you raise your voice a little bit. Maybe you even start jumping up and down, ranting and raving and throwing things to get his attention. You'll do anything to get his attention because you can see something that he can't. You can see that there's danger approaching that he's not aware of. So the shouting, when Tommy looks up and sees his father ranting and raving and frothing at the mouth and throwing things, he might be frightened. It might frighten him. He might even be afraid of his father for a brief moment. But what he doesn't understand is what his father is doing. He's doing it out of love. He's doing it to save his life. He'll do anything that it takes to get our attention. And and I'll close with this: that is the perfect example of our relationship with God. Sometimes when we stray from God, we get so far away from Him that He will let us go for a while. But when we get to the point where we're starting to lose our way and we're running the risk of actually being completely or separating ourselves from Him, He will get our attention. That could be with sickness. It could be with loss of a job. It could be with all of a myriad of different things, bad things that happen to us. And us, as like a child throwing a temper tantrum, cry out to Him and say, "Why are you treating me so unjustly? Why are you being so mean to me? Can't you help me out a little bit?" But we're just like that child. We don't understand the danger, the dangerous path that we're on, the perils and the difficulties and the troubles, maybe even death that is down the road that He can see that we can't. And what should a loving father do? Should a loving father say, "Well, I warned him. I told him not to go there, but he did it anyway, so he'll have to suffer those consequences"? That's not what a loving father does. A loving father does whatever it takes to get our attention. So it really disturbed me, all of those comments about me being a tyrannical, authoritarian figure, or treating Jack like a slave, because it's just not the truth. It shows a lack of understanding, and maybe I haven't done the best job of getting that across. I do leave in all of the things when I do get after Jack sometimes. Not to embarrass him, but there's a greater responsibility here. There's over almost 700,000 people that are watching this channel. Many of them are young fathers, or maybe young fathers to be. And I want to get the importance of this across, this message that I'm trying to say. And I don't want to come off, I'm not going to come off that we're the perfect family and we have everything figured out and we don't suffer the same difficulties and trials that you do, because it's just not the case. That's why I leave these things in there. And maybe it's not fair for me to get on here and do a furious rant, because I do make the conscious choice to put those things in, and I guess I should just expect it. But I want you to understand why I do the things that I do, and why I only have a few years left with him. And I have to prepare him to the best of my ability to go out into a very, very cruel world, a very uncertain world, and I will no longer have control. And the final thing I'll say, I'm sorry to bring all these ridiculous stories, but they do help to explain it. When you launch an arrow is like a child. You can point it towards the target, you can check your windage, you can check your elevation, and do your best to line up that shot. But once that arrow leaves the string, you can't control it anymore. So I have a few short years to make my aim straight, to make sure I point him in the right direction and I equip him with as many tools as I can that he can have a successful life and be an asset to our country. So that's it. That's my furious rant. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.